Okay, so we are connected live on Facebook, and let me start the recording also. Okay, so Nirvika Mataji, would you like to do the kirtan?
Sorry, Prabhuji, is it okay if someone else can do?
Okay. At least Nirvika Mataji, can you lead? I mean, can you follow?
Okay, yeah, I'll try. Yeah.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnapastaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta
Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine
Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Bhajarine Nirvishesha Sunyavani Pasadamidadharine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prajadeshatarine
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda
Hare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
हरिनाम
Hari Hari
संकीर्तन महायज्ञ
Bol.
की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय,
Jai
वैष्णव वृंद की जय।
Jai Jai.
वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां
Krishna
पावनेभ्यो
Sindhuveva
वैष्णवेभ्यो।
Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.
Okay, thank you for following up. And now I think your fever will go away, your cold cough and everything will go away because of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Bol. Okay. Acha Rajiv, so you have received the questions from Nirvika Mataji, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, and till today I have sent you almost 5 questions revised.
Okay.
Have you received?
I saw the email, though I've yet to go through it, Prabhuji.
Okay, so see,
I
that
saw
can
it
be done
in the
later.
inbox.
Yeah, my revised questions can be worked upon later, but what is most important currently is Nirvika Mata, they will say, I will also forward you Aritra's questions. So these are the first priorities now, because what Mataji will be editing those, and then you'll have to send me. So I'm already about to finish your list of questions. Okay.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji.
So actually, yeah, actually I'm going quite fast, and but I will require probably at least 2 or 3 questions in the next few days, so that I can start working on that without wasting a single day.
So that means Nirvika Mataji's 7, I should try and send you fast, right?
Exactly. I mean, try to send it tomorrow or day after tomorrow latest. At least 2 or 3 questions.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. So, but Sugata Mataji can do, no, like within 1 or 2 days she will be able to send it, no.
Yeah. It will happen, Prabhuji. No problem.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then at least, because every day I have to do 1 question, so according to that I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
So we which verse 205. We have stopped at 205 and we continue with 206. I just wanted to share something really interesting. It's like, we have the commentaries from different acharyas for Krishna Lila. Similarly, we have commentaries for Gaur Lila also, not that extensive, but very few commentaries. And in one of the books, uh, which is written by Lochan Das Thakur, Chaitanya Mangal, everyone must have heard about this book, right? So he has described this meeting with Ramandra in a very different way. And it seems that maybe it happened in a different kalpa. Because in that particular, he has described that Ramandara is actually a king instead of the governor. And so let me just once again, I will just go to the verse number and then I will share the past time also. Yeah, Chaitanya Mangal actually, Lochan Das Thakur has described in a very rasic way, in a very sweet and rasic way. Obviously, as written in the form of poem, but it's amazing how he has described the pastimes. So there are, like as we know, Krishna's pastimes also, they are the basic theme of Krishna pastimes is the same, but the details they vary from one kalpa to another kalpa or from one universe to another universe. So similarly, this particular pastime where we are currently, because we are discussing about the conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Raman Rai. So we have already from Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have learned that Mahaprabhu meets Ramananda Rai, right? He's taking a bath, and then Ramananda Rai sees this great personality from a distance, and then he understands that he's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also sees Ramananda Rai, and he also kind of understands that he's Ramananda Rai, and they, both in the midst of everyone in public, they meet together, and then they embrace together, and then they also express ecstatic symptoms. I think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is expressing his ecstatic symptoms, and then when he comes to external consciousness, he's seeing that there is a lot of other people around. So then he will suppress his symptoms. So this is how actually they met. But in Chaitanya Mangal, the pastime goes like this. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually sends a messenger to Ramananda Rai because he's touring the South India, and then once he reaches near the kingdom of Ramananda Rai, because Ramananda Rai is actually a king, and so Mahaprabhu sends a messenger to inform him that he has arrived. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very eager to meet Ramananda Rai, but Ramananda Rai is actually worshipping his deities, his house deities, and he's very absorbed and immersed in that. So the messenger goes and tells Ramananda Rai, but then Ramananda Rai does not pay attention. He ignores the message given by one of his servants. So then the messenger feels that okay, probably he must have committed some offense because Ramananda Rai ignored, and he approached him when he was worshipping the deity. So he goes back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and informs Mahaprabhu that Ramananda Rai is very busy and he is not able to pay attention because this is the time when he is worshipping the deities. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his ecstatic move and enthusiasm, he goes inside the kingdom. He goes inside, he enters the palace of Ramananda Rai, and he right away straight into the entrance of his deity room. He goes there and he comes inside of the deity room because it is open. So then suddenly what happens is Ramananda Rai does not see him in the beginning. Ramananda Rai is worshipping the deities and suddenly starts seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his mind. Although he is worshipping the deities, he is remembering Krishna, but he starts seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his mind because Krishna is like manifesting himself in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his mind. So then he gets bewildered that what's happening? Why I'm seeing this golden complexion personality and I'm not seeing my Shyam Sundar Krishna. And then suddenly his attention goes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when he looks at him, he understands that he is Krishna himself, because while meditating on Krishna, he's actually seeing the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he immediately identifies that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then this is how actually they meet inside the house of Ramananda Rai, and he's a king. So this is a difference. I just wanted to share it.
So is this Prabhuji Kalpa Bhed or Universe Bhed? What is it?
Well, he has just mentioned it. So like we can just speculate that maybe it is Kalpa Bhed, or maybe in different universe this pastime is orchestrated in a different way. There's no commentary to this. I mean, Lochand Das Thakur is just describing in the form of poetry all the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so I have not heard if there is any commentary to this, but he's describing in a very different way. Even the deliverance of Jagai and Madhya also, to some extent, is quite different. Actually, we hear that from the Chaitanya Bhagavat, we hear that it was Namacharya Haridas Thakur and Nityananda Prabhu, they are trying to bestow mercy on Jagai and Madhya. So they go to them, right? In the beginning they will go, first time they will go, and then second time also they will go. And the second time Madhya will hit Nityananda Prabhu. Okay. But here we see that in this pastime in Chaitanya Mangal, we see that this Jagai Madhya, actually they go to hear the Harinam Sankirtan, and somehow they see Nityananda Prabhu, and somehow Madhya will take the pot and will hit Nityananda Prabhu. So like that. I mean, they are not Nityananda Prabhu and Namacharya. This is how it is described in a bit different way. So obviously Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur, they wanted to save everyone in Kali Yuga because they wanted to glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But the way the pastime happens is the details are different in different. And Lochan Das Thakur has taken his Leelas, or he has described the Leelas from the Kadchas of Murari Gupta. And so there is a conversation between Murari Gupta and Damodar Pandit. And from there he has taken all the content. Now, the same thing is also done by Vrindavan Das Thakur actually in his Chaitanya Bhagavat. But he's describing in a different way. So maybe there is a Kalpa Bhed here.
So, Prabhuji, as far as Ramananda Rai's, Srila Ramananda Rai's position is concerned, I mean, his whether he was a king or a governor, that we can it's possible to know through the records, because if he's a governor, there will be some records available. And from there, we can check whether, at least in our recent Kalpa, our current Kalpa, what story really applies, whether it is as given in Chaitanya
It
Charitamrita.
does not matter. It does. See, the main scripture for Gaudiya Vaishnavas is the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Most, like all the devotees, they give first priority to Chaitanya Charitamrita. But at the same time, we cannot say that others are less important. They are also equally important. It's just that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has described elaborately and especially the Antya Lila of the Lord, which is very important for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas because these pastimes are there in Jagannath Puri and they are elaborately described. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes were described by Swarup Damodar Goswami to Raghunath Das Goswami, and then Raghunath Das Goswami to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And that's why it is very important, because the Antya Lila is basically orchestrating the pastimes of Srimati Radharani expressing her Madanakya Mahabhav in Jagannath Puri. And because we are Gaudiyas, so we are more concerned with Srimati Radharani than with Krishna and with her pastimes more. So that's why we can say that for us, Chaitanya Charitamrita is more important. Although definitely we know that there are certain pastimes also given in the Chaitanya Bhagavat as well, Chaitanya Mangal, by Vrindavan Das Thakur as well as Lochan Das Thakur, which also consist of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sannyas Leela and the pastimes of Jagannath Puri, but they are not described elaborately as they are in Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? So, yeah, but one thing we also definitely know, Vrindavan Das Thakur, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami himself has actually expressed many times in his Chaitanya Charitamrita that the original author of Gaur Leela is Vrindavan Das Thakur, Chaitanya Bhagavat. Okay. And so in that sense, yeah, the two works are equally important. Lochan Das Thakur is the disciple of Narahari Sarkar Thakur, and Narahari Sarkar is actually the eternal associate of Mahaprabhu, and even Lochan Das Thakur. So depending on the desire of Narahari Sarkar, Lochan Das Thakur actually had composed this Gaur Leela in the form of poem, in a Rasik way, just as offering to his spiritual master. So all these devotees, they are eternal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why all these three scriptures are equally important for us. But probably we are paying more attention to Chaitanya Charitamrita because that's how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has elaborately described the Antya Leela pastimes of the Lord, which is basically after sannyas. So anyways, this is not so important because Chaitanya Charitamrita states that he is a governor, and in the Chaitanya Mangal it is stated he is a king. So this can happen. So we have to accept both of the versions. We cannot minimize or overemphasize one or the other like that.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So let's start with the verse number 207. Chaitanya Madhya Lila, 8th chapter, 207. Sakhira Swabhava Eka Akhatya Kathana Krishna Sa Nija Lilaya Nahi Sakhira Mana. Sakhira of the gopis, natural inclination, Eka, when one, Akhatya, inexplicable, Kathana, narration, Krishna Saha, with Krishna, Nija Lila in his personal pastimes. Not Sakhira of the gopis, Mana, the mind. There is an inexplicable fact about the natural inclination of the gopis. The gopis never want to enjoy themselves with Krishna personally. Yeah, so there are different categories of gopis, and some will enjoy with Krishna directly, and some will uh, some do not want to enjoy with Krishna directly, but they always prefer to see Srimati Radharani enjoying directly with Krishna. So these gopis, they are the associates of Srimati, they are the manjaris. So we have the Parama Prishta Sakhis, then the sadhaka who follows these Sakhis, they are called as Priya Sakhis. Then there are the Prana Sakhis, which are headed by the manjaris. And those who follow the sadhakas, those who follow the manjaris, they are called as Nitya Sakhis. And there is another last category of gopi, it's called as Sakhis. So now what is the difference between all these gopis? Paramaprishta gopis, they have equal affection for Radha and Krishna, but they show more inclination towards Srimati Radharani, or they take side of Srimati Radharani more often. Okay, so these are the Ashtasakhis: Lalita, Vishaka, Tunga Vidya, Indulekha, Sudevi, Rangdevi. All of them, they are the Ashtasakhis that we see in Mayapur. These are the Parama Prishta Sakhis. They have equal affection for Krishna and Radha. Then these are those who follow the Anugat of these Sakhis. They are called as Priya Sakhis. So the sadhakas who want to follow in the footsteps of these Sakhis, they also attain equal affection for Radha and Krishna. Okay. Then there are the Pran Sakhis, which are the Manjaris, Ashtamanjaris, headed by Srila Rupa Goswami. So Rupa Raghunath, so there are the Ashtamanjaris, and then so now these Ashtamanjaris, they have more affection for Srimati Radharani than for Krishna, and they always take side of Radharani, and they are maid servants of Srimati Radharani because they are actually of lesser age than Srimati Radharani, and they derive great enjoyment and bliss by seeing Radharani associate with Krishna, and they hesitate and they do not want themselves to associate with Krishna directly. Whereas the Sakhis, the Paramashrishta Sakhis and the Priya Sakhis, they are able to associate with Krishna directly. So they enjoy pastimes with Krishna directly. Okay, and then the Nitya Sakhis, they are the ones who are following Anugats of the Ashtamanjaris. And so similarly, because they also develop a similar kind of sentiment and mood, so they also do not want to enjoy directly with Krishna. Rather, they would like to always see Radha and Krishna together enjoying, or the Sakhis together with Krishna. Okay, and they are always the maid servants of Srimati Radharani. So these
Prabhuji,
Nitya Sakhis, they are
sorry.
assisting the Ashtamanjaris or the Prana Sakhis of Srimati Radharani. And why they are called as Prana Sakhis? Because they are completely sold out to Srimati Radharani. That's why they are called as Prana Sakhis. The Prana Sakhis are also the heart of Srimati Radharani, especially Roop Manjari is actually manifested from the heart of Srimati Radharani. So these are the Prana Sakhis. These are all the Kaya view expansions of Srimati Radharani. They are not every one of them, but the Ashtamanjaris and the Ashtasakhis, they are actually the direct expansion of Srimati Radharani's internal potency. And the others are sadhakas, they are Jeev Tattvas. And the original gopis, they are actually non-different from Srimati Radharani. So they are Antaranga Shakti, but the sadhakas are all Jeev Tatastha Shakti. Okay. And then the last category of gopi is the Sakhi. Now these Sakhis, they have actually more affection for Krishna than for Srimati Radharani. But now, so the question is that why these Sakhis do not have any followers, or why a sadhaka cannot attain in the footsteps of these. The reason is that because there is no chance, there is no possibility that anyone can approach Krishna directly without the mercy of Srimati Radharani. Worshipping Srimati Radharani, no one can actually attain Krishna. So why there is no category of Sakhis who are following these Sakhis or following the footsteps of these Sakhis who have more affection for Krishna. So these are all, the Sakhis are only Krishna's personal potency or expansion of Srimati Radharani's personal potency. And that, sadhakas do not have any destination like this for following the Sakhis. So the only destination a sadhaka can attain is that of a Nitya Sakhi or a Priya Sakhi. Okay, like that. Okay, so Nirvika Matar, you had a question?
Yeah, I wanted to know that do the Manjaris, do they you said that they don't, sorry, you said that they prefer to always, they just want to see Radha and Krishna together, but do they ever get to see Krishna as such, or they do not even participate in any of those pastimes, or just what is their position when it comes to the Leelas between them?
They are always there whenever the Radha and Krishna pastimes are there, because they are the most dear to Srimati Radharani. So Radharani takes them all along whenever she will go to meet Krishna also, individually, personally. Whenever they have Nikunj Lila also, that time also, all these Manjaris are always there because they are serving Radharani constantly. So Krishna is in pastime with Radharani, but then they are all kind of dressing up Srimati Radharani. Then they are offering garlands to Srimati Radharani. They are making garlands, offering to her, decorating her body, and then they are also offering all the food paraphernalia to Srimati Radharani and Krishna, and like that. So they are playing a very important role, and these Manjaris headed by Rup Manjari, she is directly under the supervision of Lalita Sakhi. Lalita Sakhi is actually the chief of all the Sakhis, and in fact Lalita Sakhi is the guru of Srimati Radharani. So Lalita Sakhi is actually guiding all these Manjaris because they are all under Lalita Sakhi's care. And so similarly, we have Vishaka Sakhi also, and Vishaka Sakhi has her own set of Manjaris, and then Tung Vidya Sakhi and all these other Sakhis, they have their own set of Manjaris, and they are all guiding. They are all helping, assisting these Sakhis. Okay, so the process is that we have the Acharyas, we have the Goswamis. So the Acharyas, whatever they want to offer to Radha and Krishna, they will offer to their imminent guru or leader, the group leader. Okay, like for example, Narottam Das Thakur is the disciple of Loknath Goswami. Narottam Das Thakur is probably, I think, Champak Manjari, and Loknath Goswami is probably Manjulali Manjari, or I don't remember that. But anyways, both are Manjaris in their eternal identities. And Loknath Goswami is in the Manjari form. He is actually eternally connected to Narottam Das Thakur. So in their Manjari forms also. That's why what Champak Manjari will do, whenever she would like to offer something to Radha and Krishna, she will offer it first to Manjulali Manjari, and then she will offer it to Srila Rup Goswami, and Rup Goswami will go to Lalita Sakhi. Lalita Sakhi will offer it to Radharani, like that, and Radharani will offer it to Krishna. So in that sense, but they are always, and they directly serve Srimati Radharani. That's a difference. Okay, although they don't directly enjoy with Krishna, but they are directly serving Srimati Radharani, because all these Sakhis, they are when they are serving Radharani, their Manjaris are playing very active role, and they are directly touching Srimati Radharani's body, and they are offering everything to Srimati Radharani. So there is a direct relationship between the Manjaris and Radharani, because as I said that these Manjaris are extremely dear to Radharani, like Pran Sakhis, because they are completely sold out to Srimati Radharani, because they have more affection for Srimati Radharani. So that sense, like that, they are completely close to Srimati Radharani. Yeah. So the Sakhis are also there and the Manjaris are also there. It is possible that in some places there are only Manjaris, and it is also possible in some places there are only Sakhis, when there are some intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So it all depends on the mood of the pastime. What pastime is going on, depending on that, these arrangements are made. In fact, see, there is one particular Lila, which we also know that Madhavendra Puri is a Kalpa Vriksha tree. So that's why Madhavendra Puri only knows the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna, because sometimes Radha and Krishna are completely alone and they are just sitting on the foot of Kalpa Vriksha tree. And that's why only Madhavendra Puri has seen certain pastimes, which even the gopis, the Sakhis and Manjaris, probably they have not seen, right? That's why Madhavendra Puri, although he is a Kalpa Vriksha tree, but he has a very close intimacy with Radha and Krishna Lila also. Anyways, this is just a brief description about the category of Sakhis. Simply, we have the same category for Krishna's boyfriends also, covered boyfriends also. We have the Paraprishta Sakhas and the Priya Narma Sakhas, and then we have the Prana Sakhas, and then we have the Priya Sakhas, like that. I think like that, something like that only, same. So, and then some of the Sakhas, they also have Madhurya Bhav to some degree. That's why only Subal Sakha, he's the one who actually can enter, or he can just reach the presence of Radha Kund. He cannot enter actually into the inside. He cannot go inside, but he can at least be there at the border of Radha Kund, the presence of Radha Kund, because he has to act as a messenger for Radha and Krishna's pastime. So that's why he's allowed in certain areas, but in a place like Radhakund, there are only Manjaris and Sakhis of Srimati Radharani who are allowed inside, because it is completely dominated by Madhurya Ras. It is not mixed with any other rasa. So even Subal Sakha also, he cannot enter beyond a certain range inside Radhakund. Okay, he has to stay outside. See, that's why Radhakund is actually the highest place in the entire universe, because it is only dominated by Madhurya Ras. Okay, whereas you see Nandgaon, Barsana, or Govardhan, or Vrindavan also, there is constant flow of Madhurya, Vatsalya, Sakhya, because the Gopas, then the elderly Gopas and the Gopis and the friends and friends of Krishna, they are constantly moving from one place to another place. So Nandgaon and Barsana, we know that how Nandgaon Krishna, along with his Sakhas, is always trying to meet Srimati Radharani, and Radharani along with the Sakhis, she is always trying to meet Krishna, and then Radharani is actually obstructed by her mother-in-law and sister-in-law, Chatila Kutila. And then we have Nandgaon, we have Nand Maharaj, Yashoda Maya, and other coward friends of Krishna also, and then other Gopas and Gopis also. That's why there is a mixture of rasas in different parts of Raj. But in Radha Kund, there is only Madhurya Ras, nothing else. No one can actually enter Radha Kund. Okay, so it is completely predominated by Madhurya Ras.
Prabhuji, who are the people who worship the Ashta Sakhas? Like any particular sampradaya where they are worshipped, or where these levels, like how in Gaudiya Vaishnava we try to serve the manjaris or something, anything of that sort is there?
No, I don't think so. In fact, Nimbarka Sampradaya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the principle of worshipping Radha, an exclusive shelter of Radha, and worshipping in the mood of gopis. That principle was taken from the Nimbarka Sampradaya. But other Sampradayas, Vallabhacharya Sampradaya, they mostly promote Vatsalya Bhav, although they do have worship of Radha and Krishna, but I think they are mostly promoters of Vatsalya Bhav, because whoever is connected to the Sampradaya, they are worshipping Bal Gopal, right? So, yeah, so none of the other Sampradayas, and there are only 3 Sampradayas which are actually promoting Vraj Bhav, which is Gaudiya Sampradaya, and then there is the Nimbarka and Sampradaya, and the Vallabhacharya Sampradaya. Okay, so Madhva Sampradaya also actually is not promoting that Vraj Bhav. And Ramanuja also, we know, they are worshippers of Vishnu. So, yeah, but the fact is that our Gaudiya Sampradaya, although it gives prominence to the gopis, Srimati Radharani, but any one can attain any ras, any bhav with Krishna by following Gaudiya Vaishnavism principle, because Madhurya bhav is the highest ras. Madhurya ras is the highest ras, and all other rasas are included in Madhurya ras. So when you follow higher ras, you can also attain the lower rasas. But when you go for a lower ras, you cannot attain higher ras. So you will see that Nityananda Prabhu had his associates, and they were all Dwadash Gopas, the 12 associates of Nityananda Prabhu, Sakhas of Lord Balaram. They also came in Gaur Lila. And then there's so many others who were also connected to worshipping Krishna and Balaram in this sampradaya. So it is not necessary that every devotee will only become a gopi or a manjari in Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. It all depends on a devotee's inclination. And all of them think that my rasa with Krishna is perfect and complete. Okay. So depending on inclination, one can attain any of these 4 rasas with Krishna in spiritual world, in Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Okay, so any other question or comment? Okay, so let's continue.
Prabhuji.
Oh yeah, I think you had messaged something.
Yeah.
Who are Jiv Tattva? You were saying, Prabhuji. Okay, yeah, Jiv Tattva sadhakas like us, Tathastha Shakti of the Lord. So whoever wants to attain a particular rasa in the spiritual world, so that particular jiva will perform worship of Krishna in the mood of the gopis or gopas or Mother Yashoda or Nand Maharaj, like that, and they will attain that particular bhav, rasa. So in the spiritual world, they will assist. So Jiv Tattva is basically the Tathastha Shakti, and in the spiritual world, after attaining perfection also, the Jiv Tattva remains the Jiv Tattva. It is not that they become internal potency of the Lord. Although the internal potency is actually manifested in the Jiv Tattva, because when you attain the state of Bhava and Prema, then we know that the Ladini Shakti, the Samvit and Ladini potency of the Lord will enter the heart, right? So in that sense, the internal potency is there for those who are in the spiritual world, but our category will always remain the same. We are marginal energies of the Lord, and will always remain the marginal energy, because we'll have a choice to either be attracted to material world or the spiritual world. So that because of that characteristics, we are always Tathastha Shakti, although we have the internal potency also to some degree. Okay, so we are not like direct expansions of Srimati Radharani or Krishna, but these other gopis, the Parama Prishta Sakis and the Prana Sakis, they are directly expansions of Srimati Radharani. So they are completely like internal potency of Krishna, whereas we are marginal potency of the Lord. We are not internal potency, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Alisha Mataji has a question.
Yeah, Prabhu, my question is that I heard that every Sakhi has 2 crore maid
Right.
servants. Like
Your
Lila Sakhi
voice
has 2
is
crore and
breaking,
everybody else.
not clear.
Is it okay now? Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
I mean, I can hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah. So my question is that I heard that every Sakhi has about 2 crore. Sakhi, each of them have 2 crore, and then Rukmanjari under her again has about, I don't know, again in crore, I think the number. And these are all, I think, direct expansions. These are also direct expansions. So what scope do we have to serve when they already have crores of servants?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So basically, your question is that there are infinite manjaris, infinite gopis. So what is the scope for us to serve
Exactly.
Radha and Krishna? And interestingly, today only. Okay, I think you might have to mute it because the voice is echoing. Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, so today only, interestingly, my wife asked the same question because she was reading about the description of Goloka, and then she started thinking that if it is so beautiful like this, but then what chance we have, because there are so many infinite living entities who are actually aspiring. So we are just from one particular universe, we are trying to become the followers of Radha and Krishna. What to speak of infinite universes in the material world? So obviously the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are also going in another universe, and there are living entities also delivered from those universes, right? So then what scope do we have? So I was just telling her that it is something connected to Achintya Bheda with Tattva, which, and I can just give a small example of that. It's a bit complicated, but I think it can be understood by this simple example, that when Krishna, uh, yeah, so I just gave this example to her that it is mentioned in the Shastra that when Krishna is going back from the forest to his house, so all the gopis are assembled at the rooftop of their house, and they are trying to see Krishna, trying to glance at Krishna and trying to see whether Krishna is also looking at them, because they are so desperate to see Krishna while he's returning back. Now it's very interesting that uh, Krishna, see, he is performing pastime with the gopis for a long time, and then after that he's just returning. Okay, he's just like in the Nitya Lila, in the spiritual, Krishna is enjoying pastimes with the gopis from 10:48 to 3:36. Okay, that long he's actually enjoying, and again in the night also he's enjoying that long. So when after 3:36, and in between from 3:36 to 6 o'clock, Krishna is returning back to his house. So he has been to different forests in the afternoon, evening, and then he's returning back. So in the morning he goes with his cowherd boyfriends and he takes all the cows and all the calves, and after having some pastime with them, Krishna leaves them in secrecy and then meet the gopis. And then when he's returning back to his house from different forests, uh, so the gopis are all waiting for Krishna. They are anxiously waiting for Krishna, when he's going to come back and when he's going to glance at us and when he's going to have pastimes with us. So that time, each and every gopi, they observe one thing, that Krishna is directly looking at them only. He's only looking at them, right? Just like Krishna is having lunch with his cowherd boyfriends. If you remember the example of Brahma, Vyoma, and Lila, that time also the same thing happened. Krishna was surrounded by all his Gopa friends. And how did they sit around Krishna? They were like having loops of circles around Krishna, right? Krishna was in the center, and then all the Gopas, they surrounded Krishna in a circle. And there were multiple, channels of these circles. Uh, and they were all surrounding Krishna, but still every Gopa used to think that Krishna is looking at them only, right? Each and every Gopa. So similarly here also, one thing is very clear, and then we have another example of the Raslila pastime where Krishna is expanding himself in. Now it is mentioned that during the Raslila pastime, how many gopis participated? Around more than 16 lakh gopis or something. Okay, and then Krishna expanded himself between uh, two of them. So obviously each and every gopi was only thinking that Krishna is present with him only, with her only, right? So now, yeah, so it is the same Krishna, but he will manifest himself. He will appear before us in his original form in unlimited way. So that's how actually we will also get to serve Radha and Krishna. And because of Krishna's potency, because Radharani or the devotees of the Lord, like Rup Goswami and Rup Manjaris, and the Manjaris are Gopal. So depending on where we are connected, which particular group, so they will also expand themselves and they will also be present intimately with us. Okay. So this is the how actually we can understand that it's not necessary. I mean, you think that just like in the material world, there are so many living entities. Like, for example, if we are going in the bank and then there's a long queue if you want to deposit the money because there's so many people around, right? So it is not like that we have to, when we go to spiritual world, there's going to be a long queue, and then after millions and millions of although there is no time in the spiritual world, so after a long time, our number will come, and then we'll get to serve Rup Manjari and our Gurujan there. And then finally one day we'll attain, we'll see Radha and Krishna. No, this by Achintya potency of Krishna, by the Yogmaya arrangement of Yogmaya, each and every devotee who has perfected, they will all get to personally see and experience Radha and Krishna and be able to serve them and their devotees also. So this is a Achintya Bheda Tattva, because they are in the original forms, but they will be appearing before us also simultaneously. Right? So does it make sense?
It does. Actually, it reminds me once Prabhupada said, gave an example that how there is sun, and when you're traveling, walking, you feel the sun is going with you and the moon is going with you when you are in the car. And it's the same for everyone, feels that the moon and sun is only with them. So that's what he gave an example of how it is with Krishna and his spiritual.
Yeah, that's a very nice example. I have heard about that. I've read about it. So of course, so see, that's why I said that Krishna is always appearing before us. And even in the Braj Lila also, you'll see that even like it is said that Krishna went to Mathura and Dwarka, and then how he I was explaining in our Janmashtami class that how Krishna returns back to Braj in his aprakat form. The first time, the gopis are feeling separation of Krishna, or the very first time he returns in the form of aprakat form, and then later on in his prakat form he actually enters Vrindavan after killing Dantavakra, right? So this I explained in Janmashtami class. So you will see that what is the meaning of aprakat form? Aprakat form means the number of devotees are there in Braj, that many number of forms Krishna is present. So unlimited number of his associates are there. That means Krishna is present unlimited times before them, right? So basically what it means, Krishna is actually, he has appeared for each and every devotee in his original form. And so we don't we don't say that it is expanded form or something. But I think in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami in this, he says that there are different categories of expansions of Krishna, and the expanded forms in his Vrindavan Leela, especially in the Raslila dance, was Krishna himself actually, who had appeared amongst all the gopis, and that form is called as Prabhav Prakash or something. And then there are so many other terms, Vaibhav Prakash, Vaibhav Vilas. This is a very technical thing. Then if you remember, when Narad Muni is visiting Krishna's palace in Dwarka, that time also he sees that Krishna has expanded himself into 16,108 forms in order to satisfy each and every Mahishis, right? So, so these forms, they are the Vaibhav Vilas or maybe the Prabhav, the Vaibhav Prakash forms of the Lord. So there's a technical description which is not very clear actually. It's quite confusing. But yeah, so these forms of Dwarka, definitely they are different from those which are there in Vrindavan. But there are, when Krishna was in Dwarka, that 16,108 was the same manifested form. And when he was in Vrindavan performing Raslila pastime, that time also the form of Krishna was the same form. Okay. And then when he is expanding himself into Narayan form, Vaikuntha form, Vishnu forms, these are all different forms of the Lord. So there are different categories of expansions of Krishna, which is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay. Right. Right. So let's continue with verse number 207. No. Sorry, 208. So who can read? Rajiv, would you like to read?
Okay, Prabhuji. 207, na?
208.
Sorry. कृष्ण राधिका लीला ये कराय निज सुख हित ताते कोटि सुख पाय. Krishna Saha with Krishna, Radhikara of Srimati Radharani, Lila, the pastimes, ye which Karaya they bring about, Nija Sukha, personal happiness, Aite, than Tate, in that 40, 10 million times, Sukha, the happiness, Paya, they derive. The happiness of the gopis increases 10 million times when they serve to engage Sri Radha and Krishna in their transcendental pastimes. राधा रस्वरूप कृष्ण प्रेम कल्प लता सखी गण हय तार पल्लव पुष्प पाता. Radhara Swarupa, the spiritual nature of Srimati Radharani, Krishna Prem of love of Krishna, Kalpalata of creeper, Sakhi Gana, the gopis, Haya are, Tara of that creeper, Pallava, the twigs, Pushpa, flowers, Pata, and leaves. By nature, Srimati Radharani is just like a creeper of love, of Godhead, and the gopis are the twigs, flowers, and leaves of that creeper. Krishna Lalim, Krishna Lilamrita Yadi Latake Sanchaya, Nija Sukha Haite Pallava Dera Koti Sukhaya. Krishna Lilamrita, the nectar of Krishna's pastimes, Yadi, if Latake, the creeper, Sanchaya, sprinkles, Nija Sukha Haite, than personal happiness, Pallava Adyera of the twigs, flowers, and leaves, Koti 10 million times, Sukha the happiness, higher there is. When the nectar of Krishna's pastimes is sprinkled on that creeper, the happiness derived by the twigs, flowers, and leaves is 10 million times greater than that derived by the creeper itself. In his Amrita Pravah Bhashya, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur states Srimati Radharani is the creeper of love of Godhead, and the gopis are exactly like twigs, flowers, and leaves. When water is sprinkled on the creeper, the twigs, flowers, and leaves indirectly receive all the benefits of the creeper itself. But water sprinkled directly on the twigs, leaves, and flowers is not as effective as water sprinkled on the creeper's root. The gopis are not as pleased when they directly mix with Krishna as when they are, as when they serve to unite Srimati Radha Rani with Krishna. Their transcendental pleasure lies in uniting them.
Yeah. So gopis are
Sakya
experiencing manjaris. These are the
Shriradhikaya
manjaris.
Vrajapumuda. Sorry.
These are the manjaris who are actually experiencing that bliss. Not the Sakis, because the Sakis they also directly experience Krishna's enjoyment, physical enjoyment.
Okay. Sakya Shriradhikaya Vrajapumuda Vedhola Dini Nam Sakte Saramsha Prema Balya Kishalayada Pushpadi Tulya Swatulya Siktayam Krishna Lila Mrita Rasa Nichyer Ula Santyam Amusham Jato Lasha Swache Shekach Chatagunam Adhikam Shantiyatanna Chitram. Sakhya, friends of Lalita and Vishakha, Sri Radhikaya of Srimati Radharani, Vraja Kumuda of the lotus-like inhabitants of Vrajabhumi, Vido of the moon Krishna, Ladini, pleasure-giving, Nama of the name, Shakti of the potency, Sara Amsha, the active principle, Prema Valya, of the creeper of love guarded, Ishalaya, newly grown, Dala, leaves, pushpa, flowers, Adi, and so on, Tulya, equal to, Swatulya, equal to herself, Shiktayam, when sprinkled, Krishna Lila, of the pastimes of Krishna, Amrita, of the nectar, Rasa Nichaya, by drops of the juice, Ulasantyam, shining Amushyam of her, Srimati Radharani, Jat Ulasha, having awakened pleasure, Sweshekat, Swasekat, than their own sprinkling, Satagunam, 100 times, Adhikam, more, Sampi, are, Yat, which, Tat, that, Na, not, Chitram, wonderful. All the gopis, the personal friends of Srimati Radharani, are equal to her. Krishna is pleasing to the inhabitants of Vrajabhumi, just as the moon is pleasing to the lotus flower. His pleasure-giving potency is known as Aladini, of which the active principle is Srimati Radharani. She is compared to a creeper with newly grown flowers and leaves. When the nectar of Krishna's pastimes is sprinkled on Srimati Radharani, all her friends, the gopis, immediately appreciate the pleasure 100 times more than if they were sprinkled themselves. Actually, this is not at all wonderful. When the nectar... Actually, this is not at all wonderful. Or is it wonderful?
Not at all.
So if the
Not at all
pleasure is
wonderful.
sprinkled, if the pleasure, they immediately appreciate the pleasure 100 times more than if were sprinkled themselves. Actually, this is not at all wonderful. That means sprinkled themselves is not at all wonderful. That way, maybe.
Uh, I mean, not at all wonderful means that this is not something which is to be wondered about, because it's the nature of love. I mean, nothing to be surprised about, because when you serve servants of your object of love, then you derive greatest pleasure to that. It's a natural thing. So in that sense, it is written that actually this is not at all wonderful, because this is natural.
Okay. Okay. यद्यपि सखीरा कृष्ण संग में नहीं माना तथापि राधिका यत्न कारण संगमा. Yadyapi, although Sakhira of the gopis, Krishna Sangame, directly enjoying with Krishna, Nahi, not, Mana, the mind, Tathapi, still, Radhika, Srimati Radharani, Yat, with great endeavor, Karana, causes, Sangama, association with Krishna. Although the gopis, Srimati Radharani's friends, do not desire to enjoy themselves directly with Krishna, Srimati Radharani makes a great endeavor to induce Krishna to enjoy himself with the gopis.
Yeah. So this principle of the Manjaris trying to give pleasure to Radha and Krishna, and they always would like to see Radharani with Krishna, and so because of their selfless love, Radharani also definitely would want them to enjoy with Krishna directly. So Radharani will try to arrange certain, she will try to arrange in such a way that the Manjaris will also try to associate with Krishna directly, and thereby Krishna will also directly enjoy with the Manjaris. So this is Radharani's attempt, because of their selfless love, of their complete surrender to Srimati Radharani. So similarly, so see, actually, it is mentioned that Radharani is not enjoying so much. Indirectly, it is basically mentioned in the previous verses that the Manjaris are the ones who are actually enjoying more than Srimati Radharani also. in indirectly meeting with Krishna, which is when they unite Radharani with Krishna, at that time they feel more enjoyment, more bliss. Because it is mentioned that whatever bliss the creeper is experiencing, more than that, the twigs and leaves also experience. So this is by the special arrangement and mercy of Srimati Radharani that the Manjaris actually experience more bliss than Srimati Radharani herself. And now, so Srimati Radharani also feels that she would also like to experience that kind of bliss. So she will also make an arrangement for the Manjaris to associate with Krishna directly. So there are certain pastimes where Krishna does associate with the Manjaris directly and enjoy with them. Okay. Okay. So who would like to continue? Alisha Madhavi, would you like to? But I don't know if your voice has an issue.
Prabhu, I'm cooking.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Okay. What about Swati Mataji?
Yeah, Prabhu. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Text 212. यद्यपि शकेरा कृष्ण संगा में नहीं माना तथापि राधिका यत्ने कारण संगम यद्यपि although Sakira of the gopis Krishna Sangami directly enjoying
We
with
have
Krishna.
already done this, Madhavi. Next verse.
Okay. 213. Nanachali Krishna Preri Sangama Karaya Atma Krishna Sangahita Koti Sukhapaya. Nana Chale under different leaves. Krishna unto Krishna. Preri sending. Sangama direct association. Karaya induce. Atma Krishna Sangha personal association with Krishna. Haite than Koti Sukha 10 million times more happiness, Paya, she gets. Presenting various pleas for the gopis, Srimati Radharani sometimes sends the gopis to Krishna just to enable them to associate with him directly. At such time, she enjoys a happiness 10 million times greater than that enjoyed through direct association.
Yeah. So this is vice versa, like that, for the Manjaris and for Srimati Radharani.
214. अन्योन्ये विशुद्ध प्रेमे करे रस पुष्ट तान संभार प्रेम देखी कृष्ण हाय तुष्ट. Anyonye by one another, Ishuddha, transcendental, Preme in love of Godhead, Kare makes Rasa the mellow, Pushta nourished, Tan Sambhara of all of them, Prema the love of Godhead, Deki seeing Krishna, Lord Krishna Haya becomes Tushta satisfied. Translation. The transcendental mellow is nourished by that mutual behavior and transcendental love of Godhead. When Lord Krishna sees how the gopis have developed pure love of him, he becomes very satisfied. Srimati Radharani and the gopis are not interested in their personal happiness derived from association with Krishna. Rather, they become happy by seeing one another associate with Krishna. In this way, their dealings are further nourished by love of Godhead. And seeing this, Krishna is very pleased. 215. Sahaja gopira prema nahi prakrite kama kama krida samyitara kahi kama nama. Sahaja natural gopira of the gopis prema love of Godhead nahi is not prakrita material kama lust kama krida lusty affairs samya in appearing equal to tara of such activities kahi I speak kama nama the name lust. Translation and purport. It is to be noted that the natural characteristics of the gopi is to love the Supreme Lord. Their lusty desire is not to be compared to the material lust. Nonetheless, because their desire sometimes appears to resemble material lust, their transcendental love for Krishna is sometimes described as lust. Purport. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that material lust should never be attributed to Krishna, who is full of transcendental knowledge. Material lust cannot be engaged in the service of the Lord, for it is applicable to materialists, not to Krishna. Only prema or love of Godhead is applicable for the satisfaction of Krishna. Prema is full service rendered unto the Lord. The lusty affairs of the gopis actually constitute the topmost love of Godhead. Because the gopis never act for their own personal satisfaction. They are simply pleased by engaging other gopis in the service of the Lord. The gopis derive more transcendental pleasure from indirectly engaging other gopis in the service of Krishna than from engaging in his service themselves. That is the difference between material lust and love of Godhead. Lust applies to the material world, and love of Godhead applies only to Krishna.
Okay. Yeah, so just reminded again and again that this love, this physical association is not material, it is transcendental. Right? So we should know that very thoroughly. Next.
Yes. 216. प्रेमैव रमणं काम इति आगमत्प्रतम् इति उद्वाधयोऽपि त्वं वञ्चन्ति भगवत्प्रियः. Prema, love of Godhead. Eva, certainly. Gopa, Ramanam, of all the gopis. Kamaha, lust. Iti, thus. Agamat, became current. Pratham, the process. Iti, thus. Uddhava Adhaya, all the devotees. Headed by Uddhava. Api, certainly. Etam, this type of behavior. Vanchanti, desire. Bhagavat Priyaha, those who are very, very dear to the personality of Godhead. Although the dealings of the gopis with Krishna are on the platform of pure love of Godhead, such dealings are sometimes considered to be lusty. But because they are completely spiritual, Uddhav and all the other dearmost devotees of the Lord desired to participate in them. This is the quotation from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1 to 285. 217. Nijendriya sukha hetu kamera tatparya Krishna sukha tatparya gopi bhavavarya. Nija indriya, of one's own senses, sukha of happiness, hetu for the reason, kamera of lusty desire, tatparya intention, Krishna of Krishna, sukha the happiness, tatparya intention, gopi bhava varya the foremost mood of the gopis. Lusty desires are experienced when one is concerned with his own personal sense gratification. The mood of the gopis is not like that. They only desire to satisfy the senses of Krishna. 218. Nijendriya sukha vanchana hi gopikara Krishna sukha detikare sangama vihara. Nija indriya sukha, for personal sense gratification. Vancha, the desire. Nahi, there is not. Gopikara, of the gopis. Krishna, unto Krishna. Sukha, happiness. Dite, to give. Kare, do. Sangama vihara, mingling and enjoying with Krishna. Among the gopis, there is not a pinch of desire for sense gratification. The only desire is to give pleasure to Krishna, and this is why they mingle with him and enjoy with him. 219. Yatte sujata charanambu roham
Brahma Samhita.
Okay, Yatte sujata charanambu ram staneshu विधा सनय प्रिय तहि माहि कर्काशेषु तेन तविम् अससि अतसि तद् यत तेन किं स्वित् कुर्पादिभिर्भ्रमतीतिर्भवत् आयुषं नः yet because they, your Sujata delicate, Charana Amburuham, lotus feet, Staneshu on the breast, Beta, being afraid of, Sanai, very carefully, Priya, O dear one, Dadi Mahi, we place, Karkasheshu, very rough and hard, Tena, by such lotus feet, Atavib, the forest, Athasi, you wonder, Tat Vyatate, that are pained, na not, Kim Svit Vedra, Kurpa Adibhir, by the small particles of stone, Brahmati bewilders, Dirhi intelligence, Bhavat Ayusham, of persons who consider you as the duration of life, Naha, of us. All the gopis said, Dear Krishna, we carefully hold your delicate lotus feet upon our hard breasts. When you walk in the forest, your soft lotus feet are pricked by small bits of stone. We fear that this is paining you. Since you are our life and soul, our minds are very much disturbed when your lotus feet are pained. This is the quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:31-19. 220. से कोऽपि भावामृतायान्लोभाय वेदधर्मलोकत्रय त्यजी से Krishna bhajaya. Say that gopi of the gopis, bhavamrite, in the nectar of ecstasy, Yandra, whose lobha, attachment, haya, is Veda Dharma, religious principles of the Vedas, Loka, popular opinion, Tyaje, giving up, say he, Krishna unto Krishna, Bhajaya, render loving service. One who is attached by that ecstatic love of the gopis does not care about the popular opinion or the regulative principles of Vedic life. Rather, he completely surrenders unto Krishna and renders service unto him.
Okay. Nirvika Mataji, would you like to continue?
Two 221. रागानुगा मार्गे तारे भजे ये जन से जन पाए ब्रजे ब्रजेंद्र नंदन. Rag Anugam, of spontaneous attachment, Marge, on the path, Tare, Krishna, Bhaje, worships, Yehu, Jana, a person, Sei Jana, that person, Paya, gets, Vraje in Vrindavan, Vrajendra Nandan, the son of Maharaj Nandan. If one worships the Lord on the path of spontaneous love and goes to Vrindavan, he receives the shelter of Vrajendra Nandan, the son of Nanda Maharaj. In all, there are 64 items listed for the rendering of service unto Krishna, and these are the regulative principles enjoined in the Shastras and given by the spiritual master. One has to serve Krishna according to these regulative principles, but if one develops spontaneous love for Krishna as exhibited in the activities of those who live in Vrajbhumi, one attains the platform of Raganuga Bhakti. One who has developed this spontaneous love is eligible for elevation to the platform enjoyed by the inhabitants of Vrajbhumi. In Vrajbhumi, there are no regulative principles set forth for Krishna's service. Rather, everything is carried out in spontaneous, natural love for Krishna. There is no question of following the principles of the Vedic system. Such principles are followed within this material world, and as long as one is on the material platform, he has to execute them. However, spontaneous love of Krishna is transcendental. It may seem that the regulative principles are being violated, but the devotee is on the transcendental platform. Such service is called Gunatita or Nirgun, for it is not contaminated by the three modes of material nature.
Yeah, so spontaneous spontaneous nature or service does not mean that they don't follow the rules regulations. In fact, naturally they follow all these things very strictly. But whenever there's a conflict between them, then because of their sentiments, that intense absorption and their love for Krishna, they will override the regulative principles. So in that sense, regulative principles are secondary to their devotion, and they will always follow their heart because their heart is always attracted towards Krishna. Okay, but we have to understand that does not mean that they reject regulative principles, or they, because they are completely free of sinful activities. There is no question of sin for the Vrajvasis. Okay, next.
To 8 to 22. Vrajaloke rakhona bhava laya e bhaje bhava yoga deha paya Krishna paya vraje. Vrajaloke of the planet known as Golu Vrindavan. Kona some. Bhava mood, lie, accepting, yea anyone, bhaje executes devotional service. Bhava yogya, suitable for that spiritual attraction. Deha a body, paya getting, Krishna, Lord Krishna. Paya gets, vraje in Vrindavan. In his liberated stage, the devotee is attracted by one of the 5 humors in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As he continues to serve the Lord in that transcendental mood, he attains a spiritual body to serve Krishna in Golok Vrindavan.
Once again. Yeah.
Should I continue?
Okay. Yeah.
28 to 23. Just 1 minute, just 1 minute. Sorry, just 1 minute. To 8 to 23. Tahate Drishtana Upanishad Shruti Gana Ragamarge Bhaji Paila Gajendra Nandana. Tahate, in this matter, Drishtanta, the example, Upanishad Shruti Gana, the great sages known as the personified Upanishads or Shrutis, Ragamarge, on the path of spontaneous love, Bhaji, worshipping, Paila, obtained, Brajendra Nandan, the lotus feet of Shri Krishna, of Lord Krishna. Those saintly persons who represent the Upanishads are vivid examples of this. By worshipping the Lord on the path of spontaneous love, they attain the lotus feet of Brajendra Nandan, the son of Nand Maharaj. In Golok Vrindavan planet, Krishna's servants are headed by Raktak and Patraka. Krishna's friends are headed by Sridama, Subal, and others. There are also elderly gopis and cowherd men headed by Nand Maharaj, Yashoda, Mother Yashoda, and others. All of these personalities are eternally engaged in the loving service of the Lord in accordance with their specific attachments for Krishna. One who wants to return home to serve the Lord directly may be attracted to Krishna as a servant, friend, father, or mother. If a person continuously serves Krishna during this life in a particular ecstasy, upon giving up the material body, he attains a spiritual body suitable for serving Krishna in terms of his particular attachment. One may serve as a servant, friend, father, or mother. In the same way, one who wants to serve Krishna in conjugal love can attain a body under the guidance of the gopis. In this connection, the most vivid example is provided by those saintly personalities known as the Shrutis, who represent the Upanishads. The Shrutis understood that without serving Krishna and following in the footsteps of the gopis, there would be no possibility of their entering the kingdom of God and serving Krishna in the mood of conjugal love. Therefore, they engaged in spontaneous loving service unto Krishna and followed in the footsteps of the gopis.
Okay. Yeah. So see here, Prabhupada is actually very clearly saying that if a person continuously serves Krishna during this life in a particular ecstasy, upon giving up the material body, it turns a spiritual body suitable for serving Krishna in terms of this particular attachment. In some other place, Prabhupada also, right? I think this is in Krishna book. He says that Generally, a devotee who is attracted to a particular rasa will focus on the pastimes of Krishna in that rasa, right? Yeah, so these are all described in the Shastra, this process of attaining the spiritual body. And definitely it means that one will start following, or at least they will start appreciating and worshipping the devotees of Krishna, which are most attractive to them. So one will. So what is that? What is the meaning of that? If you start worshipping a particular associate of Krishna, what does it mean? Or you get attracted to a particular pastimes of Krishna with a particular devotee, then what does it mean? So what does it mean if you get attracted to a particular pastime of the Lord or to a particular associate of the Lord? Then what does that indicate? No one?
Does it indicate that that will be the mode in which I will, the person would exchange the rasa with Lord in the spiritual world? Is that what it means?
Yeah, of course. So if you are attracted to a particular loving relationship with the Lord, to a particular associate, how the Lord is exchanging relationship with that associate. Now, who is that associate? Depending on that, it's an indication that which particular ras we are attracted to, or which particular rasa we are in. And obviously, that has to be consistent. It should be steady, because this is sthai bhav. Sthai bhav means something which is steady. It does not change. So, if you are attracted to Krishna's pastime with the coward boys, then probably you are a coward boy in the spiritual world. If you are attracted to Krishna's pastime with the gopis, then probably you are a gopi in the spiritual world. And if you are attracted to Krishna's pastime with Yashoda Maya, then you also attain that kind of Vatsala bhav, right? So depending on specific attraction to a specific associate in the spiritual world, we also develop that ras. So this is very natural. See, that's why as you keep serving Krishna under the guidance of Guru, then you will start getting attraction for certain pastimes of the Lord, and that will start revealing your identity in one sense. So it may not be you may be able to appreciate your particular relationship with the Lord, but you have to also see whether it is steady or not over a period of time, and it should not change. So if it is focused, fixed, and it is steady throughout your spiritual journey, then it means that you will attain that kind of rasa with the Lord, right? And then obviously all these different sentiments of the gopis that are described previously, all these emotions and all these understanding will also be revealed to you, that there are different category of gopis and which category you belong to. You know, if you are affectionate towards Krishna more, then obviously you have to channelize your affection, because there is no sadhaka in the spiritual world who has more affection for Krishna. But then whether you have equal affection for Radha and Krishna, you have more affection for Radharani, these are all the things by which we can actually judge our intensity of love for the Lord, and also which particular category of gopi or gopa we belong to. So these are all the symptoms of different associates of the Lord described in the Shastra, and gradually we develop understanding of all these emotions and our own attraction for that. So what mood I am attracted to. So first of all, the beginning stage is that you will realize your rasa with the Lord, right? Rasa means which particular rasa you are comfortable with the Lord, and that should also be steady. So then once that is fixed, the other details will be revealed to you. Like for example, which particular associate of the Lord you are attracted to, which category of devotee you are attracted to, and then what type of services you are attracted to. So depending on your attraction to a particular associate of the Lord, you'll also develop a further understanding on that aspect. So this is how you will, all these things are revealed to us by gradual advancement in spiritual life, and everything happens at the right time. You cannot force yourself, you cannot jump, you cannot crash like that, but everything requires patience, and everything requires that we have to pay a price. So paying the price means you have to have. So now see, you cannot actually come to the state of steadiness unless and until you have faith and loyalty towards your guru, chastity towards your guru, and at the same time, unless and until you are like completely the guru's instruction should become the heart and soul of the disciple. So when that kind of feeling will come, that will be the beginning of your journey towards bhakti. Okay, because that, as I mentioned earlier, then what happens is once you come to that particular understanding and level where you start seeing the instruction of Guru as life and soul, then you will start seeing the associates of, the most favorite associates of Krishna, whom you are attracted to in your Guru. So like in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Jai Dharma, he is describing this in detail, that how there were two disciples of two Guru, and I'm sorry. So there are two disciples of the same Guru, and how each of them saw their Guru differently. So one particular disciple had Madhurya Ras, he had inclination for Madhurya Ras. Another had inclination for Sakhya Ras. And so he saw Subal Sakha in his Guru, and the other devotee saw Rupa Manjari, I think, or some other Gopi in his Guru. Okay. So that's how actually the revelation will come with time. But first and foremost is that we have to follow the instructions of Guru. We have to follow the regulative principles, come to the state of steadiness, cultivate the sentiment and attitude of trying to fulfill the instructions of spiritual master with heart and soul, and then all these things will come. So, so these are all natural things. These are sequential things which will come one after another. And depending on the devotee's attraction, they will be oriented towards a particular associate, and they will be directed by the Lord, because the Lord is also helping the devotee in the form of Paramatma. So he will also. In fact, Prabhupada said that preaching is actually not different from Raganuga Bhakti also. It's actually Ragmarg. So preaching Bhagavad Vidhi, and especially preaching and distributing books, is like one time Rameshwar Prabhu, who is one of the stalwart Prabhupada book distributors, Prabhupada disciple. So he once he once mentioned to his godbrothers that this Sankirtan or this book distribution is not different from Ras Lila with the gopis that Krishna is having with the gopis in Vrindavan. And so similarly, if we are distributing books, then we are also participating in the Ras Lila, pastimes of the Lord. So then the godbrothers, they had some kind of doubt about this. And so they wrote to Prabhupada. And they wrote that Prabhupada, Rameshwar Prabhu is telling like this. He's explaining the meaning of Ras Lila like this. So do you approve of it? And then Prabhupada said that, yeah, he's true. He's right. That actually distributing books is the same as So basically, distribution of books and preaching is connected to, Madhurya Ras, you can say like that, because those who have intense emotions and love for the Lord, and who have experienced Krishna's reciprocation, they will actually try to share this message with others. And this is what the gopis keep doing. They just want to share and share and share. So in the Ras Panchatya also, we'll see that how in the midst of Krishna disappearing from the Ras Leela, the gopis are actually glorifying Krishna, they are remembering Krishna, and they are saying that those who spread the message of Krishna are the most munificent, right? And then we also know how Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur actually gave message, instruction to Srila Prabhupada on the banks of Radhakund, right? Inside Radhakund, right in Radhakund. So it is like, droplets of Srimati Radharani's mercy, that Prabhupada books are actually compared to the droplets of Srimati Radharani's mercy. In fact, not different from Radhakund, droplets of Radhakund, which are compared to Prabhupada books. So this preaching is actually not different from Raganuga Bhajan, and that's how we are connecting this preaching to the realization of our Swarupa. Because so there is, if you remember, we had elaborate discussion about, in the last class itself, we had elaborate discussion about the external form of Raganuga Bhakti and the internal form of Raganuga Bhakti. So we said that Rupa Goswami states in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that externally one has to behave like a sadhaka, and internally one has to cultivate the mood and sentiment. All right. So when we do preaching, what happens is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is there, and because of Mahaprabhu's mercy, that Raganuga is kind of projected inside in the form of Rag Bhajan, which means that ultimately you start having more and more deep absorption for the Lord and his associates. Okay, that can come naturally, gradually with time. So it's because of the special mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu which is actually involved in that. Right. So now see, so there are devotees who have preached in the past, and they have distributed a lot of books in the past, but then over a period of time they have fallen down. Okay. So then how do we explain, then why did they fall down? Because see, the point is that preaching itself, by definition preaching to the outsider means we are taking a risk. And so if you don't have a strong sadhana and if you're trying to preach, then definitely it will be difficult. And especially for devotees who are not chanting 16 rounds, they should not take more risk. They should not actually preach so much, because the potency is coming from the holy name, from the sadhana, and the minimum qualification required in order to preach, or the minimum strength which is required, is 16 rounds, and obviously according also following the 4 regulative principles. So if some devotees are not chanting 16 rounds, then they should not preach so much, because their preaching will not be effective. Okay. So so preaching actually means, especially for the outsiders, it means that we are taking some risk. So risk means that, like for example, if you go in a war, if you are not sufficiently trained, if you have not practiced, then obviously you will not be able to kill the opposite army, right? You yourself will succumb to death before even killing so many of the enemies. Okay, so similarly, if we are not properly, sufficiently, that if the strength is not there, then we will not be able to preach effectively also. So preachers, because they are taking risks, they have to be very strong in sadhana. Then only the preaching is effective. But so this preaching is actually connected to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, special mercy, and that is connected to the Rag Bhajan also. By Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, all these higher things are actually manifested. They are all revealed to us with time. Okay, so this is very important to understand. This is how in ISKCON we develop our attraction and inclination towards a particular ras, and also obviously because of the holy name. along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, we are developing this identity, not practicing on an internal platform as such, but but in ISKCON through preaching. This is how actually we attain that kind of attraction. Okay. So Alicia Mataji, I have a question badly want to ask. Okay.
Yeah, my question is, I think I heard Prabhupada saying once that when you've passed another nivritti stage, then everything happens automatically. But another nivritti is the longest stage. So, I mean, then you have and all these things to develop. So how, for you, it is a cakewalk. For us, another nivritti seems like never ending. So what to do?
Okay. So first and foremost, for me, it's a matter of lifetimes to cross Anartha Nivritti. It's not something that you are thinking, but yeah, definitely it's a long process. And see, Anartha Nivritti, according to, so Prabhupada says that 75% of the modes of material nature are destroyed, right? Which means that the mode of ignorance and passion is destroyed, and then mode of goodness also remains in that. So yeah, that is true, but we have to also understand what is the level of at which particular stage Anartha Nivritti comes in the 9 stages of devotion. So we'll see that Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, Prem. So basically, Nishtha is a midway stage. It's a 50-50 stage. From, if you go from Shraddha to Prema, then actually Nishtha is like the one which is in the middle, right? So it's a 50-50 stage. That means even though Anarthas are destroyed, but according to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we are not so much concerned about Anartha Nivritti, but we are actually concerned about Artha Pravritti, which means that the main Arth means what? Arth means something which is, the goal, right? So the goal is basically to develop love for Krishna, and love for Krishna is attained only after, attaining the higher stages, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, Prem, right? And if you want to attain Ruchi or taste, then you have to definitely cross Nishtha stage. And that would mean Nishtha is right in the center, but then you have Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, and Prem. So 4 stages above Nishtha and 4 stages which are below Nishtha, right? So Shraddha, Sadhu Sang, Bhajana Kriya, and so Nishtha is right at the center. So now you can understand that Anartha Nivritti is 1 stage below Nishtha, right? And so, yes, Anarthas, we have to work upon the Anarthas for sure. But even beyond Anartha Nivritti, when we even come to the stage of Nishtha also, definitely it is our responsibility that we don't commit offenses and we become serious. Then only we will actually attain Ruchi and Asakti and Bhava and Prema, all these higher stages. Now, these higher stages also we can attain when we fulfill the desire of our Guru. When the Guru is satisfied in peace, when the Vaishnavas, they give mercy on us, they will bestow mercy, then only actually we attain higher stages. Because see, from Shraddha to Anartha Nivritti or Nishtha, you can say that the predominant factor is our own effort rather than Lord's mercy. So let's say our effort will play almost 75% role from Shraddha to Nishtha, and 25% will be the mercy of the Lord, or the factor which will bring us to the stage of Nishtha. So you can say that 25% the Lord's mercy and our contribution should be around 75%. Once you go ahead from Ruchi to Prema, then the dominating factor is the Lord's mercy, which means that you can say that, okay, 75% Lord's mercy and 25% our mercy. Okay, because see, these higher stages, Ruchi, Asakti, these are all, see, we can only give our best to the Lord, which means that we can only become steady in our services. Whether we get taste or not, that is not up to us. That will completely be dependent on the Lord's mercy. If He wants to give us taste, then so that means Ruchi, asakti, and then obviously asakti means intense attachment to the Lord, right? And then unless and until you have attachment, you cannot express emotions, which is bhav. So all these things, ruchi, you can only attain when you attain the Lord's mercy or the Vaishnava's mercy, right? So these are dominantly, the Lord's mercy will play a dominant role in the higher stages, whereas our role will be from Shraddha to Nishtha. So we have to be responsible to get rid of Anartha Nivritti and come to the state of steadiness. Okay. So yeah, so it is, it's not that, after Anartha Nivritti, things will become very easy. At least we must have to, we have to follow the instructions of Guru, and we have to please the Guru. So we rendering of service, pleasing the Guru, all these aspects will still continue. What we have to be careful is that we have to avoid offenses, and we should try to we have to put our efforts to increase our attachment towards the Lord, which means that we have to engage more in devotional service in terms of hearing, chanting, remembering, or serving, like that. So this is how we progress from Nishtha to Prema. Okay, so is that clear? Like, does it make sense?
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so any other devotee, they have any question or comment? Okay. Now, one very important concept I would like to cover, which is what Prabhupada also mentions, that he says that the Upanishads, so we know that there is one chapter in Krishna book or in the Bhagavatam, how the Shrutis, the personified Vedas, they also attain the conjugal attraction towards Radha and Krishna. Now, see, there's a very important point here, that anyone who would like to attain Radha and Krishna, they have to follow in the footsteps of the gopis. This is also very clear when Prabhupada writes that the Shrutis understood that without serving Krishna and following in the footsteps of gopis, there would be no possibility of their entering the kingdom of God. Correct? Therefore, they engage in spontaneous loving service unto Krishna and following the footsteps of the gopis. See, now it's very interesting. The concept of Raganuga Bhajan is existing even before the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because the personified Vedas, the Shrutis, and the Munichari gopis, so they appeared, or they developed this anchoring before the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so the question is that, okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the one who actually spread the holy name, and he also spread Rag Marg. And he also taught us that without following, he emphasized and he promoted the path of Raganuga Bhakti. That's the main reason he actually came to this material world, right? But it does not mean that Ragmarg was not existing before his appearance. It was very much existing. And we know that Jayadev Goswami also, he appeared prior to, and they all performed Raganuga Bhajan. Without that, obviously, there is no question of attaining Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. So we know this. And the Shrutis also, they also did this. But see, there is a very important point that after the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this Raganuga Bhajan became very easy to follow and practice. And at the same time, the time duration for attaining the position of Gopi in the spiritual world or a Brajvasi also reduced to a considerable amount. So it is mentioned that these Shrutichari Gopis, they had to wait for millions of years before they became associates of Radha and Krishna. They had to perform bhajan for millions of years, and they had to perform intense austerities also, right? But by appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his mercy, the greatest amount of mercy is bestowed to the lowest living entity and in the shortest amount of time, right? And then obviously, so generally in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, it is mentioned that max to max 3 lifetimes you go back to Godhead. You attain max to max. So after taking initiation, you probably have to take just another 2 births. If you are not able to finish in 1 lifetime, then maximum 3 lifetimes. So we can actually understand what is the amazing mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And another thing is that only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the Manjari Bhav. So these gopis, the Shrutichari gopis, they didn't attain Manjari Bhav because there was no Manjari Bhav that time. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually gave. So the uniqueness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is that he is giving us Manjari Bhav, which is not available anywhere else. So even if you want to attain Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan without Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it will take a lot of time, it will take a lot of austerities, penances, and at the same time you cannot attain Manjari Bhav. But only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually bestows that particular bhav. Okay, so it's a very, very special mercy that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving to us. So any question or comment on this? So similarly, the sages of Dandakaranya forest also, they had to also wait for a long time because they didn't appear during the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they also performed Rag Bhajan, but it took a long time for them to become gopis. So whoever would like to attain Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan without the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it will take a long time. Okay. But by Mahaprabhu's mercy, everything is possible in a very quick time, in a very short time. Okay, so anyone has any question or comment?
One more question. One more question. Like, I heard one day Maharaj was sitting in Mayapur and he told some, like, 2-3 people, they were talking about something that he is like this, I wish I was like this. And then Maharaj said, I want to be a blade of grass in Vrindavan. And so this is a famous pastime of Radhanath Maharaj. So is humility, because Maharaj is like a perfect candidate to be a direct personal servant, but why did he say that I simply want to be a blade of grass?
So see, Maharaj is actually, he's teaching the disciples, he's correcting the disciples, or he's also, maybe even if the devotees are not his direct disciples, but still he's just trying to correct the devotees so that they always will cultivate this feeling of humility. And at the same time, we can also understand that we have a long way to go because, as I said, that Anartha Nivritti is actually a long, it takes long amount of time for us to attain the state of Nishtha, because Anarthas are so deeply integrated in our hearts, right? And that's why people, when we talk about all these things, see, these things we are discussing because we are going through the context. Otherwise, there is no question of discussing all these things. Like, I won't personally call all of you and say that, okay, what is your Swarupa? Did you realize something? What are you in the world? This is something which is not in ISKCON standard. And these things are all personal things. These are all revealed to us over a period of time with the right amount of patience and dedication, with the right obvious type of humility also. So Maharaj is definitely correcting the disciples. Plus, at the same time, even if someone is qualified, these things are not meant to be discussed openly, okay, or in front of anyone. This is something which is personally communicated to the Guru, and the Guru has to approve of that. So it's a private discussion between the Guru and, okay. And by the blessings of Guru only, one will be able to it all, like, the Guru has to give blessings for that. These are not things which can be openly spoken about. So yeah, we may have certain inclinations, we may have some attractions for a particular ras or something, but it's not so important to discuss these things. what is actually important, what is most important is how much service we are doing for Guru. That's at the end of the day, this is what matters. Okay, because even if someone attains all these higher stages, their only concern is to please Guru and Krishna. That's the only desire. See, that's why I said the entire foundation actually of spiritual life or Raganuga Bhajan, the most important pillar of Raganuga Bhajan, or the foundation of that is they are only concerned with pleasing Radha and Krishna. That's the main foundation. Rest all other things are details and they are secondary. Right? So so every disciple, every devotee, every guru, every devotee in spiritual life, even if they attain higher stages, but if the Lord or the Guru has ordered them, they have given some service to the disciple or devotee, the focus is actually to please the Lord. That is the only goal. Okay, so they don't talk about these things so much because the focus is service. Service is the essence of Raganuga Bhakti also. That's the most important thing. Right? So that's why, one time Prabhupada said that Acharya never goes back to Godhead. He always goes from one universe to another universe, trying to uplift all the conditioned souls. And then the devotees also desire to assist the Guru. And they also don't desire to go back to Godhead. They also want to assist the Guru. Right? So they also come along with the Guru. That's why Prabhupada also said that in the past you are all devotees. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur sent you in order to assist me. Right? So, and Prabhupada said that you were all Vaishnavas in the past life, and Krishna placed you in different places. So we never know, but ultimately the most important thing is service. And I also remember another wonderful the way Maharaj corrected one one proud disciple of Narayan Maharaj from Madhya. So one time he went to Maharaj and he was like, because he was quite into all these Rasik things and Ras Tattva and all that. So he went to Maharaj and he told him that, Maharaj, let's get together, let's have association and let's discuss about Ras Tattva. Okay, so then Maharaj embraced him and he told him that he started laughing, in his traditional way. And he said that my Tattva is Trinapi Sunichinat Tarorapi Saistana. So this is how actually Maharaj, he knows perfectly how to respond to each and every devotee. And of course, we know that we know the exalted stature of Radhanath Maharaj, that all the Brajvasis also, they call Maharaj a Brajvasi because he has spent a lot of time in Braj serving all the Brajvasis. And what he does in Braj also, we know, he only serves all the Brajvasis. He's only concerned about serving everyone. And then we also know that what is his past background in Braj. How Krishna arranged that he was actually going somewhere else, but somehow he got down at Mathura, and then later on he got dysentery. He was about to leave from Vrindavan, but he got dysentery, and then he had to stay for another few months. And then later on, he got the association of Prabhupada and his disciples. And then Prabhupada also encouraged him to stay in Vrindavan. But later on, Maharaj realized that actually what is actually most important is not to stay in Vrindavan, but to serve the instructions of my Guru. And that's why he went to New Vrindavan. So although Maharaj he left Vrindavan, but ultimately Prabhupada gave him a place to serve, which was New Vrindavan. So he moved from one Vrindavan to another Vrindavan, technically speaking. And that's how he actually remained in Vrindavan forever. And then wherever he goes now, he creates Vrindavan. So we have, whether it is Radha Gopinath temple or Govardhan Eco Village also, every time Maharaj is completely absorbed in thinking of Vrindavan, how to give Vrindavan to others. So this is actually the nature of a devotee, a true Vrajvasi. And so there are three categories of Rajvasis. This is what I've heard in one of the classes of His Holiness Mahanidhi Maharaj. So he had mentioned one time that there is the three categories. The lowest category of Rajvasi is that he will take birth in Raj, but then he will move out of Raj and he will go to some other place, some other city like Delhi, Mumbai, like that. Then the second category of Rajvasi will stay in Raj. Okay, who has taken birth, and he will also stay in Raj. And the third and the topmost category of Rajvasi is that with body, mind, senses, everything, he will completely engage in the service of others. He is actually a real Rajvasi. So even though he might not stay in Raj, but if he's outside of Raj, his only desire is to please Krishna and to serve his devotees. So this is the greatest Rajvasi, right? So basically, yes, this staying in Vrindavan. So what is the most important thing is to understand the sentiments of these Rajvasis, and the foundation of the sentiment is that they are completely sold out to Radha and Krishna. Their only pleasure is to, as Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami also explains, and Prabhupada also writes in the purports that there is no degree of material lust or enjoyment in their pastimes. Their complete happiness and satisfaction belongs in serving and pleasing Krishna. So this is actually technically a Brajvasi. So this mood has to be created. This foundation has to be created first, and then later on, all other things, other details will also be revealed. If Krishna wants, we will also get a particular form, a specific form, to engage in his pastimes. Okay, so all depends on the pleasure of the desire of Lord Chaitanya and Krishna ultimately. So is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, so see, one final comment I just wanted to mention, that we should not get distracted by such kind of devotees who are putting a lot of emphasis on or probably cultivating rasa, and because see, we don't have any issue with that. It's our tradition. It's in our tradition, but it's just that we want to follow the example of our own acharya, and Prabhupada actually did not emphasize so much on this, but Prabhupada actually wanted us to spread Krishna consciousness. So this is actually the most important for us, and we also see this quality in our Gurujan, right? Today also I had sent one beautiful answer given by His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, and he also emphasized the same thing, that preaching is something which is the most important, and so because Prabhupada wanted it so deeply, he wanted all of us to do that. So we want to do that. That should be our priority. Along with that, obviously we will also relish Krishna consciousness, because that will help us to take deeply in our own Krishna consciousness, and that will help us to also serve deeply or serve effectively, right? So that's why we are having this online association of similar-minded devotees who are able to relish Shastra and able to relish Prabhupada's purports also, what Prabhupada gave to us. And that way we want to serve Prabhupada. Ultimately, the goal is to serve him, right? So we have to be careful, we have to be cautious, and we should not be diverted from such kind of devotees. And yeah, and these devotees are also in ISKCON. It's not that you will find these devotees outside of ISKCON. These are also in ISKCON. But we want to have a thorough understanding of what it means to be a Vrajvasi or practicing Raganuga Bhakti. Okay. So does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Yeah. Other devotees also?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So I think probably Rajiv Prabhu has gone to bed now. That's why it's not answering. Yeah. So all right. So we'll continue next week. And yeah, this Thursday, like I will be giving Bhagavatam class. If you are available, you can attend. And then please remember this Saturday, Mahatma Prabhu will be giving class. So at least try to attend on Saturday, the special class.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So Alisha Madhuri, also please try to attend on Saturday. Maybe you can try to uh, be at home on Saturday, this coming Saturday.
Yeah, Prabhu, mostly I shouldn't be. It will be around like 3 in India, 3:30 in India.
No. This Mahatma Prabhu class is going to be at 8:30.
Okay, 8:30 India time.
Yeah.
So about 3:30. Yeah, Prabhu, I'll attend wherever I am.
Yes. Sure. Okay. All right. Thank you so much all, for attending the class.
Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
how many? What is the topic? Can we share about it with others? Mahatma Prabhu's
Yeah.
class.
In fact, I think even like Mahatma Prabhu has many disciples also, so they will also be joining probably. Regarding the
Okay.
topic, I have already mentioned the topic. In fact, I have made a flyer and I have sent to Mahatma Prabhu. But what happened is there are two topics in one topic, and that's why he just wanted to like probably I don't know if he wants to select just one out of it. So I'm just waiting for his confirmation. But mostly it is understanding Prabhupada's teachings holistically. That's the topic I think he would be speaking about.
Okay. Thank you.